Welcome back, everybody. Another episode of Connect, Share, Prosper. I'm your co-host, Chris Angel, here with President President and CEO. But is that what I always called you CEO, but you always say President.
President co-founder is on the official title.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, that's what it says on the door. President and co-founder.
President and co-founder Chaz Wilson of Master Networks Incorporated. All right, good. Well, I'm glad we squared that away. So
I should have done CEO. Would have been less letters instead of president.
I know. Right.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, man. I'm really excited. I love this podcast. And first thing I want to say before we go too far, Chris, if I might, is that I would love our listeners if they want to just email me, Chaz, C-H-A-S, at masternetworks.net. Just in the subject line, go podcast topic. Send a topic you want Chris and I to discuss. I'd love to get that from you. Of course, we're typically using, Chris, you and I, we talk about things that we're going through or things we've heard. And so that becomes our topic. But if there's specific topics people want, to send them our way.
Yeah, that's really fun. I love that. I mean, consider that like free coaching. That's like Q&A stuff. Like, you guys have questions all the time about your business. Like, tee it up for us. Let's go.
Yeah, here we go. So on that note, let's just talk about something that we kind of ended the last episode we talked about, but it's something that's huge right now, and that's being able to ask for business. Mm-hmm. When's the right time to ask, how to ask, all of that kind of stuff. And I think as we demonstrated at the end is that if you're delivering great value to people, it is your obligation to ask for the business. Mm-hmm. If you don't, you are ripping that person off from the ability to do business with you. Right?
Yeah. Why do you think people don't ask?
Well, I don't know if it's fear. So I don't know why some people don't ask. In fact, I kind of leave the meeting going, why didn't they ask me? I was waiting for them to ask me for business. Maybe some of you have been in that where you feel the pitch or the sales pitch or whatever, the presentation. And it's like, at some point, would you just ask me? I'm going to tell you no or yes, but just ask me.
Right.
Like if you ever been to a timeshare presentation, that's how I feel the whole time. Like, I already told you no up front. Like, here you go.
Right.
But I don't know. I think fear sometimes. Yeah. We're afraid to ask the hard questions. Right. So we ask for the business and we're afraid to ask the hard questions. I mean, we had one the other day where I had one of our sales team on the call. I'm going to go off a little bit here, but she was on the call and she said, hey, we're going to send this agreement over to you. I need it signed. And I was standing there and I said, hey, put them on hold. And so she said, hey, could you hold 1 second? Put them on hold. And I said to her, ask the hard question. She's like, what's the hard question? I said, just take it off hold and let me talk to him. So take it off hold. And I said, hey, we're going to send you this agreement. Shell told me about it. Looks great. We're going to send it to you. Is there any reason in the next 15 minutes you wouldn't get it back to us? He's like, well, I got something coming up. I said, when is that? Well, could you do it in the next 15 minutes? Is there any reason when we hang up this call, we're not going to get this back in 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Because what I want to get to is, look, are we just blowing smoke here? Or are we actually doing business together?
Yeah.
Why? Because if we're not, I want to get to the next person who is serious because we feel so much value in what we offer. We need to get it to the people that want it.
Yeah. Okay. But so this is where I think the challenge though is, this is where people are afraid to ask. And it goes actually back to our last episode, which is if you don't have a full pipeline, I can't push you for an answer, yes or no, because you might be what's putting food on my table this month or not. Right. Or there's this thing like, I don't know where my leads are coming from. I have to kind of let you decide what you're going to do. And then I don't push you for that.
So true. So, right. So it goes back to lead generation, but here's the other thing too, is I think one of the reasons people don't have a bigger pipeline is they're spending too much time with people who won't put food on the table and they won't ask the question. So they're spending time, like you start looking through their pipeline and go, I got 10 people here. No, you don't. You have one. You actually have one.
Yeah.
And that becomes the reality of where we're at, right? You got to get real.
Man, I don't know, this is convicting for me. I've been in business 17 years and here's the thing for me is, and this is a blessing and a curse, but most of my life I've been a nice guy. Like I'm a nice guy. I'm the nice guy.
You.
Stop being such a nice guy. Yeah. I'm the nice guy. And I, in some ways that's been born out of the things that I value. Like I value people feeling respected. I value people feeling safe. I value people being adults and making their own decisions. And those stories or those values that I've brought with me have sort of spilled into my sales process, right? And they've gone unchecked. But the more I start to get to a place where and I'm just telling you where I'm at. Like, there's a place in your life and in your business where you're like, look, I've only have so much runway left. I've got to make this count. And so I can't tolerate maybes anymore. Like I've just gotten bolder now in what I want from people, knowing that my life is not infinite.
So does that mean you're no longer a nice guy?
I don't think I can shake that, Chaz. I think I'm still going to be the nice guy.
Well, but that's my point, is I don't think it actually has anything to do with it.
Right.
Right. But I mean, I just think it's the story. Like I've battled that a lot. Like I don't want people to be offended. And let me tell you what, when you're at your office and your wife calls and says, hey, the card won't go through and I have 5 kids and we have $27 in our bank account. I mean, this was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Guess what? It's time for me to get over that piece of me thinking that my being a nice guy was my wife being at the store, not being able to pay for groceries. Right. So
yeah, it's good.
How nice is that?
Right. Yeah.
I'm not picking on you. Like, this isn't an at you thing. This is for all of us. Right.
Oh, I know. I got it.
I think there's people thinking that on the call that they say, well, I can't ask because of whatever reason it is. Whatever the reason is, we have to get over that, because at the end of the day, the whole business it has to generate money.
Right. Well, I think there's some work. I mean, so in concept, this conversation is super powerful. And I think when we go, okay, well, how do we start to make this tangible and real? How tomorrow do I show up into my business and start really asking for the business? I mean, what do you say to that? How do we make that actionable?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a quick example in my own life when I couldn't get over it myself. And my business mentor, I remember when we started selling regions for master networks. So let me give you a little context, because I think there's a lot of people listening that are going to relate to this very place I was in. And that was is that I was actually giving regions away, right? I mean, there was a day where we were like, oh, you're interested in master networks? Do you want to run a region? You're in Michigan? Great. When they'd say, well, what does it cost? Oh, it doesn't cost anything. You could just, if you'll be our guy out there, you could run the region. I'm like, that's how we were at the beginning. Yeah. And I sit down with my mentor and we're mapping this out. He's like, why are you doing that? It's foolish. He said, you got to charge for that. And we're going to build an entity and all that stuff. Okay, great. I said, so what do you think we could charge going out? He said, to start with, $10,000. And I'm not kidding you. My business partner and I at the time, we laughed. I'm like, I can't even give them away. You want me now to go back and say $10,000, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I get my mind in that place first. And then I remember I got a couple prospects. And so I'm about to have the sales call. And I remember texting Dave and my mentor, and I said, Dave, I need to have a quick call with you. I said, okay, great. He hops on the phone. I said, I got 2 calls today for good prospects. We've kind of done a little vetting, but I've got to do my sales pitch and ask for 10 grand for a region. What should my script be? How do I ask? And like, I kid you not, this is exactly what he said. He said, do you want to put that on a credit card or a check? You want to write me a check or put it on a credit card?
Nice.
And I thought, how stupid, like, duh. Like, why am I overcomplicating it? At the end of the day, they're just expecting me to ask them to move forward. That's all the ask is.
Yeah.
Hey, you ready to get started? Great. You want to put that on a credit card or you want to write me a check?
Yeah.
And the very first person I did that with, she said, oh, you know what? I've got a credit card. I want to put it on that because I can get all the miles anyway, and then I'll pay it off. I'm like, wow, okay. And then I put her on hold. I got all her information. I ran over to Caitlin, who was running our team. I said, does our merchant account allow us to run a $10,000 charge?
Yeah.
She's like, well, we're about to find out.
Yeah. That's good.
Right? I mean, we all struggle with it.
I think that's good, man. My default is to go, I hear the concept and like, oh, that's good. Like, so I got to ask. And then what I'll do is I'll go journal about it for a while, right? Okay, so I'm going to ask, and then I could say this, or I could say that. Maybe it's this person, maybe. And then this is where we start to complicate it, right? We start to spin it. We take something that's super simple to just go do. And then we start to sabotage it by complicating it. We're like, because that allows me to not have to go do that action right away. Right. Yeah. I think one of the things I said this yesterday in that video that I did, it was the mindset that shifted for me was the current mindset I was in was always having to understand how and why and what, like, what is it? How does it work? Why am I doing it? And then, and this was specific to my body because I was 6 years have been working out and I still don't have the result I wanted to produce, right? It doesn't take 6 years to produce that result.
Right.
And what I realized was I could just hire a trainer who knew how to get me the result in 90 days and not have to think about how or what or why. He just says, eat this and lift this, right? And then that's it. Right. Like that's just way simpler. And it's been a new thought process for me, but it's super refreshing.
So you hired the trainer?
Yeah.
I love it. So when you get to mindset, I just share this with the group. I was struggling with that on not everything, but certain parts of the business, especially bigger ticket things, right? I was like, as it got higher in price, I kind of went. And so when I was overcomplicating, like you said, I would like write out my script and the why and how, and here's the next step. And I like way overthought it. The question got asked to me is this, and this is where my mindset changed when I thought this question. The question was, do you believe enough in that product or service that the potential client or prospect should go into debt to buy that product?
Wow.
And I was like, well, first of all, I'm not a big debt person. But wow, that's a really powerful thing. Yeah, but if it's going to help them and it's going to help them make more money or get the personal physical results you're talking about, would it be worth it to them? It might be worth it to me to go into debt to hire that trainer to get my body in the shape I want or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But is my mindset a belief place enough that I believe you should go into debt for this? Boy, when I got to that place, and what that required me to do was improve my product more. But when I got to that place, I have no fear, no hesitation to ask for the business because I know it will help them. That to me was a big shift.
I think that points to some places that people can go to work, because I think I don't want to say it's a value proposition exercise. Like, okay, guys, let's do an exercise around your value proposition. I do think that that's helpful, but underneath that layer is just, do you really believe in you? Like at some point, right. I think there's a lot of people this is why their content marketing isn't always strong, because they don't believe in their message, or they don't really think that what they have to say is valuable enough.
Right.
And that starts to come out in their value proposition, which feels weak. Right. And it starts to come out in like, when I have an opportunity to ask you to do business with me, it doesn't come off as strong. And that all that comes back to, how are you currently, who do you think you are right now?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, so I shared this with you one time, Chris, not on a podcast, but I said, when I talk to people who are interested in coaching with me, I have two questions. Why me and why now? And that was an interesting shift too, because I was actually afraid to ask those questions too, because I was afraid of what they would say. But the reality is, when I started asking why me, why now? Yeah. They really told me and it helped my own confidence, because they were actually telling me where the value was. Yeah. At the beginning. Right. So yeah, I think it's that belief in ourselves, and where does that come from and how do we get it? You surround yourself with people who believe in you until you believe in yourself.
Okay. So there's two things happening in this conversation that I see. There's skill sets and mindsets, right? There's what you do, which is, do you want to write me a check or do you want to put it on a credit card? That's a skill set to ask for that question. And then there's mindsets, which is like, what do you believe about you? Do you believe that your product or service is worth somebody going into debt, right, in order to produce the result in life they are saying they want to produce? So where we are talking about that as well here is the new book we're talking about. We say it's an attitude, which mindset we would say would fall in an attitude piece, that's good. Skill piece, that skill set. And so, yes, it's both. You have to have both. You've got to have the right attitude, mindset, be purposeful, optimistic, et cetera, on that place. Yeah. So I'm purposeful. I'm optimistic. I'm going to persist, but I'm going to inspire you to make a movement. And then the skill set comes in with how I ask and where I go from that. So super powerful piece. Probably have 10 more episodes out of that right there. But getting to the mindset place where I can ask for business. Because gang, if you're listening to this and you struggle with asking for business, even the best salespeople, the best that you see, that you idolize, maybe they've all struggled with it at some point. Everybody. There's not one I know that hasn't struggled with it or admitted that they struggled with it. Yeah. So just know that. That's a great place to acknowledge. Then it's moving forward and just practicing getting clear on just asking. We do it all day long. Hey, Chris, you want to go have lunch? Hey, Chris, you want to do a podcast? Hey, Chris, you want to have a phone call? That's just an ask. Right. That's really all you're doing. So good. So good. Chaz, if people want to, this is a great place to just tie this off. You just tied it off perfectly. So if people want to learn more about Master Networks, where can they go? Well, I would ask you to go to masternetworks.com and I'd ask you to leave your information and let us have a conversation with you about how to find a chapter, start a chapter, join this amazing network of learning-based, service-oriented entrepreneurs and business leaders. I love it. Chaz, thanks for all your wisdom and your expertise. We'll catch you in the next episode. Great conversation today, Chris.